Preparing to go live. Setting up the meeting on YouTube Live. Done. Redirecting the YouTube. I'm going to have to turn the volume down because we'll get feedback. And we are live on YouTube. Actually, what I'll do for you too, real quick, on Twitter, I'm sending you the live link on YouTube if you want to tweet it out.
Okay.
We'll give people a chance to chime in and say what's up.
Awesome.
Did you get it?
Oh, whoops! I hit the god damn it! I hate the way these things work. I got it. Let me resend it. Or I clicked on it and I went to hit pause and I hit the. Okay, yeah.
The mouse is a dangerous thing.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna just send a quick tweet out about this.
Where are you at today, by the way?
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today.
How's the weather?
Really wish I was in Europe, but the weather's all right. It's not. I mean, it's supposed to storm today, so that's nice. Hang out on the balcony and maybe barbecue something. What is your Twitter handle?
Give me 1 second. I forgot it. At Key Mastermind.
Key Mastermind. Okay. Key Mastermind.
I'm a big fan of Napoleon Hill. Are you familiar with him?
I am a big fan as well. Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was probably the first book I actually read outside of the Bible, and a friend of mine turned me on to it, and I've probably reread the book 13 times in my life.
Oh yeah, it really. I remember reading it when I was younger, and it was one of those things that made a big difference in my life. Certainly, at least the way I looked at things, and then from there you just kind of build and build and build.
Did you know that Think and Grow Rich is the second best-selling book other than the Bible?
I did not know that. That does not surprise me. Just tweeted it out.
Cool. All right, so let's get started. I couldn't be happier to have Ed Latimore with us today. Ed is what I consider not only a thought leader but a champion. And I think what you're doing to give people what's inside of here and trying to help them improve their life is a quality that few people do these days. Actually, not few, but not as many people do it as they should.
Yeah, I just really try to leave the world maybe a better place than I found it. I think that's a driving force. I certainly don't want my existence on this planet to be a net negative for the time I'm here and the things that I do. It did echo beyond my life. And the best way I found to do that is just really to be me. Now I can just be me because of the things I've experienced and gone through and learned from, and the luck that is how I see the world, that allows me to break it down in a way that helps other people really understand it and grasp it. I fully recognize that there's an element of chance there. I could have been born 50 years ago, but there was no Twitter, or anything like that. No one cares, or I could be born somewhere else. I think Warren Buffett talks about this when he calls it the ovarian lottery. And I'm really aware of all the things that have come together that have allowed me to build a platform and grab a small amount of influence in the world.
Well, it's not only that, but if you think about it, you're actually planting seeds. You're actually giving people little bits of yourself, and you're able to watch, at least hopefully watch, through Twitter and other social media platforms, those people grow. And that's an impressive thing.
My thought process has always been to take care of what is within your grasp. And now, for some people that may just be their household and making sure that when their children go out into the world that they don't disrupt things and they are a good example and inspire people to lead better lives. But some of us, have 120,000 followers on a social media platform, and so there is where I get to plant seeds, and that's a responsibility I don't take too lightly. I don't want it to come across like it's some type of crazy world changing uh, mission from God type thing, but it is a larger than average level of influence and representation. So I get to take it. I get to I get to use it. I get to use it to do what I want. And fortunately, I think for the world, what I want to do is make people think and be more of a mediator than an agitator. And I also think that one of the reasons why the following continues to grow and why it's so big, and it's not just on Twitter, but now on my Instagram and on my website, is because of those approaches. It's not, they aren't separate. I really think they're synergistic in that I do things to help that makes people more interested or, help teach, educate, entertain with, with crack kid jokes, generally just coming along with some positivity, and I think people feed into that, and then that helps me grow more. And it's hard to tell, is it the chicken or the egg kind of thing? Which one
I
comes
couldn't
first?
couldn't agree with you more. So I always like to ask this question of people in life that are successful, people that are leaders, people that are doing things better than most. What was your aha moment? What was that one moment where all of a sudden you had an aha moment that said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do?
I don't know if I ever had one of those. I really kind of stumbled in to this, and by this I mean I would say this kind of social media success. I really hate the phrase influencer, but that's like, but that word sums up best kind of the position I'm in at the moment. And I think I stumbled onto it. I mean, that's really what happened. This was not the goal. The original goal, when I started to like kind of clean up my life and get directed, I just wanted a job, preferably a high paying one, doing interesting things, and that's why I ended up studying physics. I didn't quite know where that was going to go, but I figured it would lead someplace interesting, and more importantly, someplace that paid more than 9.28 an hour. Little did I know that along the way is I'm doing the other things that are important to me, writing and breaking down my experiences in life, not just prior to, but concurrently with my schooling, that I would develop, following people to really care, to people to get something out of me. And I said, okay, let me continue and do this, and I also figured out how to monetize it, which is really important. You have to live with money, or rather you can't live without money. So it's really important to figure out how to make it, preferably doing a thing that you enjoy, because that's never going to stop. I mean, I guess I could like take a bow of poverty and hope people just toss me breadcrumbs and money, but that's not really, it's not gangster. I'm not doing that. But the main point is, going along, I just said, hey, the way I live, I have lived, and what I've overcome and what I've done, people can learn a lot from it. Let me just kind of lean into it. I remember when I decided I would make it a like kind of a preferred path, so to speak. I was in a, it was, I think it was my final semester, maybe second to final semester. Yeah, second to final semester in school, and I said, okay, I'm not quite smart enough to go to grad school for physics, nor do I have the interest, nor do I have the personality for some of the other things that would, you know, match me. I really enjoyed being a teacher. By that point I had started tutoring students, and but they weren't going to pay me what I thought I was worth as a teacher. So I said, what are my options? What am I going to do? Well, this thing is going pretty well. Let me kind of lean into this along with some other things I was doing at the time, most notably private tutoring, and leaning into those things really made a difference. And it showed me, with my personality and with what I put out, I have a chance. That's what I say. I have a chance. It's all probability, because I could wake up tomorrow and Twitter decides that something I said years ago won't, what they don't like. I've seen guys get pulled off of your mailing list client. I don't think I'm in danger, but it's only think, it's probability. And I've reduced the odds of that happening to effectively zero. But I just think that I could be very wrong. They could be gunning for me right now. We're just waiting for them to say something. We're gonna remove them. But I don't think so. Not only that, but one of the cool things about building influence is that you get influence, but you get some people on your side who kind of make sure
You
these
become a
things
target.
don't happen. Right. But I'm a really bad target, especially with the climate of the country. I'm a black guy that doesn't talk about politics. That's like the worst target. It's not like I'm out here, the male Candace Owens or something like that. Like, no,
Shout out to Candace Owens.
I'm just out here doing my thing and having a good time, not really pissing anybody off. I got books about sobriety out there. I'm a terrible target for
Shout
a
out to all
lot of
those that are
things.
sober, 12 years.
Oh, nice, man. Well done. I recognize the importance of that. I'm coming up. It'll be 7 years for me
In
this
Miami.
December. So,
The greatest lesson that I think that will ever teach you is life is about inches. And
yeah.
you take it inch by inch. You can manage inches, but it's when you try to manage the feet and the days and the weeks, then you start getting a little overwhelmed sometimes.
Yeah, and one of my favorite sayings, one of the things I live by, is that I really believe that if given enough time, I can learn anything or change anything. And and then that factors in the ups, the downs, the plateaus, all the things that occur as you're trying to grow, learn a skill, change a habit, or get rid of a bad one. Well, that goes into change a habit. But I have the faith that I can, once I decide this is the future, this is the outcome that I'm aiming towards, that I'll be able to get there. I'll be able to achieve it, because given enough time, I think you can do anything. What did Archimedes say? Give me a big enough lever, and I'll move the world. It's kind of in that kind of vein of thinking. Give me enough time, and I'll figure some out. Now you don't have infinite time, but you have way more than you think you need to do most things.
Very true. Shout out to Archimedes. So, what are some of the life lessons that boxing taught you? I know you've got a background in boxing. What are some of the life lessons that boxing taught you?
The pain is just a feeling. That's all it is. It's like being tickled. It's the same. And that's weird to think about, but it's true. You don't have to respond to the tickling. You just think you do, and you don't have to respond to the pain. And in boxing, you learn very quickly that you're not going to. You don't really get a choice. You're not going to go far. Even at the amateur level, a good defensive move is just going to protect your neurological system from being disrupted, i.e., getting knocked out, getting wobbled, etc. But all those things hurt. Shots to the body hurt, punches to the head hurt. That don't put you down, but just make you, it just annoys you. You ever been hit in the nose, man? Like that just
Oh,
annoys
the
you.
worst.
Your eyes go red, you water, but you learn it's just a feeling, and then you learn to stare through it and work through and walk through pain. And that is such a powerful lesson, because anything you go after is going to have an element of growth that comes with it. You have to change who you were to get this, so you can but you have to become that person, right? The type of person who deserves that thing. And that type of change, going from who you were to what you need to become, that is going to that usually will be a discomforting growth process Not because the process isn't good, but anytime there's change of shape, change of attitude, change of thought, there's going to be some resistance that you have to overcome, a new environment that you have to accustom yourself to, a new way of thinking. All of this is going to disrupt you. And where you go, oh man, this is so uncomfortable that I have to retreat back to what I've known, or will you continue forward because what is on the other side of the rainbow, so to speak, is worth the risk, worth climbing, worth going over. You learn that really, you get a really visceral, physical piece of feedback from boxing in this regard because you just cannot fight if pain is going to be what stops you. You know, if you got a glass chin, that is what it is. You can't do anything about that. But if you don't and it just hurts, um, that's a way bigger problem that you're not going to survive.
One of my favorite lines in life is from Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan till you get punched in the face.
Oh, absolutely. No one's very few plans survive impact because impact is generally unpredictable. And even if it's unpredictable and the when. I mean, we can do a lot, but for the most part, you don't know when, how hard, how long, and from what angle it's going to come from. And then second derivative of that, you don't really know how fast it's going to hit you. But what you have to have is you have to have faith in yourself to be able to sustain, defend, figure these things out, adapt. If you have all of that because you train these things and you believe that you have it as well, then you can get through. You can get through the pain. You can get through the discomfort. You can persist. Because you're gonna have to confront a lot of your fears in boxing as well. And you get to you don't really get to shy away from it. If you're gonna keep doing it, you gotta go deal with that fear every time, not just the fear of being physically hurt.
Shout out to Jesse, my puppy,
Uh,
who's letting us all know the Amazon guys in the neighborhood.
oh, nice, man. They better than him not letting you know, right? Because one day the Amazon guy might be a crackhead, and then you got to do something about that.
I live in Vegas, and during the lockdown, we've seen desperate times call for desperate measures for some people. And one of the things that's interesting is there was a group of people following Amazon trucks throughout Vegas, and they would literally take the packages off the doorways, and that was the way that they were making money. They'd find stuff and then pawn it and get rid of it, and that talks a lot about how the current climate that we're in is just chaotic for a lot of people's lives.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's where we're at. Um, but this chaos from chaos, you have an opportunity there's opportunities whenever there's disruption. I really believe that.
Oh, I,
Whether you're in a position to take advantage of said opportunity or not is a completely different story, and a lot of that is dependent on work you would have done during times of stability. I always say that if you want to be able to take advantage of good times, you need to be building yourself up. Or take advantage of bad times, you need to be building yourself up in good ones. Because when times are bad, then you're going to be playing catch up. Then you're going to be on your heels, so to speak, in terms of whatever problem you're dealing with. But when things are going well, if you're growing your skill set, really actively trying to get ahead instead of just coast, things like these won't hit you that hard. I believe that that advice is useless for people who have or who are currently dealing with the worst of it. The people who are laid off, people who can't figure out what they're going to do in the fall when their children were supposed to be in school but won't be.
that's a
Uh,
crazy thing, isn't it? Like you think about it, and you got all these families, these family units, and you realize. I think people are realizing how big of a role school plays in the whole family lifestyle. I mean, if you don't have a teacher teaching your kids and bringing them into a school environment, you have to do that yourself. And that
Yeah.
really is one of the biggest things that I think this lockdown has taught all of us. Well, not all of us. I don't have kids, but it's taught a lot of people that school and teachers are more valuable and treasured assets in our society than I think we were ever giving them.
Yeah, that's true, but it's, and it's also revealed in this same vein, it's also revealed how perhaps we, I mean, one of the reasons why Americans were so eager to get back to work is we don't have a system in place whatsoever to deal with this kind of thing. Like in Europe, a lot of the people get a benefit immediately, and there was no questions asked. Even when I was in Portugal before they really started locking things down, right before I left, they were they said if you have to stay home with a child under the age of 12, then we will, I think it was like 60% of your salary the government will pay. So like that's unheard of. That here in America they were not gonna do that. So we revealed a lot of the holes in our system for we have a system that encourages both parents to be out the house working. Like, because imagine if this happened and like we'll just use the 1950s. They imagine that whenever someone says we're going to go back to the 50s and the 40s when there was one breadwinner and then the other one stayed home with the kids. Like, yeah, this would not be that. I mean, it would still be a big deal, but that disruption would not be nearly as severe. However, we don't have a lot of redundancies in our system. We don't, once a parent has to stay home because the kids aren't there because the school is out, now the income is down. Now they're like, oh snap, we were kind of relying on that. Now they got to figure out what they're going to do about mortgage, and then you get a bunch of people talking about cancel rent. There are no. Our system was held together with very little overlap, very little redundancy, and really relied on everything working well. Not really a lot of defense.
Yeah, I think in every crisis like this, we either learn and grow as America and Americans, or we are doomed to die a horrible death. And I think there's a lot that we've learned throughout this process about our healthcare, about our leadership, a lot of things. And you touch on it like right there, where we have to figure out better ways to deal with crises, but also after the crisis, we have to also say to ourselves, what did we learn and how can we improve beyond this?
Yeah, but I am of the opinion that we are beyond that as a collective. I think some people may, and hopefully maybe those people will be in a position of power and influence. But for the most part, I look at one of the big arguments, or well, there's two really, which is insane to me. But one of the big arguments is that okay, wearing a mask is a symbol of like control and conformity and all this. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but you got to realize Europe is whooping our ass when it comes to controlling this thing. And they are about to make sure that we don't bring our elevated cases over to them because they're not experiencing the same thing because they went about it differently. They had a different system in place, so people weren't nearly as anxious, I would imagine. Uh, but over here, we're arguing over whether the thing is even real and if we should wear a mask. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is doing a pretty good job flattening their curve, and they're looking at America going, "Ooh, I don't think we want you guys here." That's like a real debate right now whether we'll be able to re-enter the European Union if you're not, if you're an American, whether they'll be able to fly over there. So that's where we're at. People let everyone argue that, and see what happens with it. But on the other end, maybe everyone gets it, and then if everyone gets it, then is it a big deal if anyone has it? Who knows?
Well,
I
here's
don't.
the funny thing. In all reality, the human body the human body today is built to fight off antibodies of a variety of viruses. I mean, I don't know what the total number is, but let's say it's 100. the human body evolves.
Yeah.
And what they're doing right now with all the testing is I think they're just realizing if we don't all already have COVID-19 or have had it, it's probably going to touch every human being because you can clean everything you want, you can wear all the masks you want, but eventually this bug is like water in a stream. It will find a way
Yeah.
to touch almost everybody.
So
Unless
and
unless you live in a bubble, unless you like decide to saran wrap your entire body, you're
yeah,
really
and you know what's crazy about it is the symptoms are not that severe in many people. I think something like I think most people are asymptomatic, but don't tell the people in charge that, and you know, you look at the numbers and you reach perhaps a different conclusion than what is being peddled as the mainstream solution, and you're looked at as a crazy. If you, but on the other end, if you go, I'm going to do what I can to prevent, spreading, then you look at it as a crazy from another side. There's really our independence as a nation has really been turned against us by this, because the above all things, right? Whether it's severe or not, it is novel, and our approach to things like this is to kind of figure out how to deal with it. And I think that's a fine approach. But we want to minimize damage while we do that, and whether we do or not is totally dependent on the help of the civilization, or rather the society, not the entire civilization, just American society. We're the ones that are like on pushback, while the rest of the world is like, okay, well, it is what it is. But those are my thoughts on that.
yeah, we could talk about COVID all 19 all day long. In fact, in a closing thought, one thing that COVID has definitely taught us is some people don't deal with COVID as well as others. There's literally a lady screaming at Trader Joe's the other day because she didn't want to wear a mask, and hordes of people were surrounding her because she didn't want to wear a mask. I mean, the mask dividing line is a very strong line. There's some people that really want to wear a mask, and there's some people that are like, I don't want to wear a mask.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But this is the world we're in.
So, who inspires you? Who are some of the people that have inspired you in your life so far?
What's funny? Well, every time someone asks me that and I think about it, I have a really hard time coming up with people immediately. But I think hard, and it always comes back. I think about my coach and a lot of the people I've met in boxing in general, but specifically my the coach for most of no, all of my professional career. He's got a great character that I've always aspired to kind of emulate. Uh, so like, not in a way for like social media or making money or anything, but just become a better person. I've always looked to that type of looked at the way he deals with things, and that is, and it's inspiring to me.
Who was your
So
coach?
Tom Yankello was my
Shout out to
coach.
Tom.
Yeah, but and I, I've got friends along the way. I've been really fortunate, and that I selected a great group of guys to be friends with, or rather they became our friend. It's probably a better way to put it. And seeing how they deal with things, because I mean, I didn't have the best examples growing up in my home or my neighborhood. So seeing other people and how they lived, who are just, no one crazy, I'm just great, my good male friends, and what I learned from them about being a better man, and also my coach, and being a better man, and those types of things have really come together, and I try and take the best from everybody and put it in myself, learn from it, and I think it's worked out. I have a lot of work to do. So it's a journey. You're never going to be the best person you can be, almost, by definition of the word best. But there's just those are the people. I think my male friends have always have, I draw a lot of inspiration from, and my coach.
Great. I spent a lot of time with Tony Robbins in my life, developing the values that I live my life by. If you could ask Tony Robbins one question, pick his brain, what would you say?
Um, I'd probably want to know more about the fire walks, man. That's really, really interesting to me. Like,
Have you ever done one?
I've never done a fire walk. I'll probably attempt it one day. I did a whole cold shower thing. To me, it's kind of in the same realm. It's like, you realize the power of your mind in dealing with or rather, your mind is so powerful that when it comes to dealing with a physical stimuli, if you concentrate or do whatever it is you do up here, you can overcome that, and that should give you quite a bit of power. I talk about it all the time with, like, one of the greatest benefits of cold showers is that you took the cold shower, like you went and embraced an uncomfortable position voluntarily over a sustained amount of time with no gain, like with no obvious gain. It's not like, you go to the gym and you leave and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put some muscle on a little better. Like, no, you took a cold shower, man. At the end of the day, like, no one's gonna know you took a cold shower but you, unless you tell them.
Shout out to Wim Hof.
Oh yeah, but big follower of his method, man. I started even studying, like, how it works, and it's so fascinating to me.
Oh, it's amazing. Like it's when you watch what Wim Hof has done to unlock things that we didn't know about the human body under amazingly extreme cold temperatures, it really is amazing. Like, for example, here at my house, I have a cold tub and a hot tub, and I jump in the cold tub and then I switch to the hot tub, and it's amazing. It's amazing what your body and your mind does when you shock it with cold temperature water and then hot temperature water. But the cold temperature, more than hot tub, the cold tub has a greater positive effect on my
Yeah.
physical life, and it's because the human body has like this storage box, this emergency, break glass in case of emergency of energy. And when you shock it with cold water, something happens in your body where these cells go to that box, break it open, and all of a sudden you get all this amazing energy that's released into your body.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wish more people took cold showers, or would be willing and be open to it. But then, they've received this kind of strange reaction, so to speak. And I think it's because a lot of the hustle porn people were putting them out there as like the key to success, and then there's no, like, correlation whatsoever, or at least not a easily discernible one. So so of course the internet goes, "You're crazy, fry. Let's make fun of it, etc." And then people chime in and go, "Oh, I don't need to take a cold shower. I have warm water. Why would I do that?" And I get that argument. I tell people all the time, I don't like camping because, as far as I'm concerned, humans beat that level. Like, we beat the sleep outside level a long time ago, and there's no reason to voluntarily return to that. So okay, I get it, but there are a lot of benefits, and we're not even talking about the immune system thing that blew my mind. But especially, in fact, such a big deal that, like, I'm a big seller of it on my website, and they reduced the price. They cut the price in half for COVID because they were like, we more people need to have access to this.
What are you referring to?
Oh, the Wim Hof method.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I should check that out on your site.
Yeah, yeah. I just, I sell it on my site. Feel free to buy from through my link. But if you don't, either way, what they've done is they recognize how important it is for your immune system. So in response to COVID, they said, we're going to cut the price in half because we think more people should have access to it. $100 program now.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's important that people understand how their body works, almost like tearing apart your car. I'll tell you an interesting story. When I was a kid, God, this is going to date me. I'm going to show my age here in about a second, but there was a, I don't know if you remember Atari, early days of Atari. It was a video game platform.
Yeah, I remember Atari. I mean, I don't remember Atari, but I know it existed.
So the Atari Pong game, it was the earliest game of a video game. You know, you could
Yeah.
just play Pong from side to side of the screen. I wanted to know how that worked. So I actually took my TV and the Atari 64 game board. I took it apart, unscrewed it, took all
No
the parts
kidding.
apart, and then I put all the parts back together. My TV still worked, but I had a few extra parts. I was like, how did this even work? But it's funny because one of the things that I learned from that experience as a 9-year-old child is I started realizing as human beings, we should learn to take ourselves apart
Yes.
and really understand how does the brain work, how does the heart work, how does the liver work, how does all these pieces work, and then even if we put ourselves back together and there's a few extra parts, we'll figure it out later. But at the end of the day, I don't think enough people understand that you can take this apart and you can look at the pieces and then you can understand each piece and how it affects your life physically, emotionally, faith-wise. I mean, everything.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That analogy of breaking things apart and then putting it back together, because that's what we effectively do when we train. Of course, we don't have to think about it being put back together because we just automatically the body goes, I'm gonna make sure we heal up and work correctly. But I think in terms of diet, this is really important because
Super important.
when you don't understand how things work, you fall for stuff like the low fat craze. Remember that? Everyone was like low fat because, and it's really easy too because we call a person fat and fat is also the name of a thing. We mix it together. It's very easy association. But turns out, yeah, that's not a good idea. The bigger culprit was sugar, or is sugar.
It's sugar and salt.
But you know who didn't fall for that? I'd imagine bro science guys, bodybuilders, things of that nature, guys who've been taking the body part and trying to understand the best way to do many things like lose body fat and get stronger.
I couldn't agree with you more. So talk about your newsletter. You've got 16,000 people. You've got some amazing subject matter that I peeled away. Talk a little
Oh,
bit
thanks.
about your newsletter.
This is another place for me to write and teach, and you know what? How I look at the newsletter, I look at it as a place to put content that I don't feel like optimizing for SEO. Things that I think about, but I don't really want to do a whole drawn out post about it. So I put it there. And as a result, I've got quite a bit of content stored up, but now I know more about SEO, so I'm going through and like picking out old things and going, okay, I can clean this up and make this a post on my site. It looks like relevant to something I can help people out with. So that's where the newsletter comes from. It's funny. You start these things because they say you should have these things. It's like, oh, you need a mailing list and you need a website. And start this. And plus, it made sense. I just wanted to write. But what ends up happening is you really have an asset. If you have any type of value whatsoever, you have a tremendous asset. If you can write things that people get value from, and then they come to your website there and they go, okay, I'm going to give you permission to come into my mailbox. Don't disappoint.
Yeah, that is so true.
And
Shout out to
so
Match.com. Stop sending
yeah,
me email. I
and
unsubscribed a long time ago.
and they're gonna keep sending them, man, because because an email subscribers, uh, I never want to look at the email subscribers as just pieces of profit. To me, the people that read my stuff and find it interesting, that them signing up to the newsletter is a show of the highest support. So it's important to me.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's actually really well put because a lot of people, when they get these large newsletters and email lists, they almost consider it like a number. And you almost have to understand that those are people. Those are human beings that have said, "I give you permission."
Yes, and And I never, or you should never, I never, you both never want to take that relationship for granted because that's a serious. I mean, people's mailbox. It's not like they're giving you the keys to their house or something like that. But they are saying, that I like what you have put out so much. You convinced me that when you put out something new, I should be the first to know about it. Or, whenever you put out something for just a list. And I did a lot of that. I actually got that recommendation. I was not doing that for a long time. Just writing things for the list. And I was like, oh, this is good, send it out to the email list. But I'm not stupid. I know that I have to continue to grow and expand. So that's why I put the post on my website too. Otherwise it would just all be newsletter.
I couldn't agree with you more. And so does Jesse. Um, so, what are some of the things that you do with your classes, with your courses that you sell? What are some of the things that you try to achieve for people in the form
I
of value?
I want to make sure that they understand. That's the all I can do. I can't control if they implement the information. I certainly hope they do. They pay money for it, and while I'm not super expensive, I'm not cheap either. So if you make the investment, I would, you've done your part. My part is to make sure that the information is easy to swallow, easy to understand. I answer any type of inquiry about it, but I don't get too many inquiries. It's very straightforward. And I think that's the goal of any teacher to take complicated ideas and make them simple, to make ideas that are hard to find. I mean, and I think what I do is relatively hard to explain, or rather hard to figure out for a lot of people because you look at the influencer guys out there. There's not a lot of people, but a lot of influencers have written Twitter off, and I'm like, you kidding? Oh, you don't work in the world of words. If you work in anything that needs words, or you want to spread a message very fast, Twitter is the place to be. But that's just one of the things that I sell. Probably the not probably. I'm definitely the highest selling piece piece for me of my courses and stuff like that. I have things about writing as well, but I'm just taking out what I think makes sense, what I've observed, what works for me, and making sure that you understand that you can grab it and you can make some moves from it.
Sounds good. So, when did you start teaching? When did you all of a sudden, decide that teaching online or teaching people through social media was going to be something you wanted to do?
It just makes sense to me. There was never a well, okay, so I know my personality and I know kind of how I'll go about this, and I knew I wasn't gonna like create a product or build a physical brand. That's just not. I'm not interested in that, and I think it's because to me everything should kind
No
of.
shout out to the Ed Latimore wine bottle.
No, I don't. people people been telling me for years you need to make some black coffee with these jokes, and I'm like, yeah.
I saw the black coffee jokes.
But if I did that, then I got to do black coffee. I mean, but then I got to manage a coffee brand. When in reality, I like writing, and I figured out how to monetize writing. I like and in writing there is a built-in teaching component. So I'm doing what I love and what I try to be good at. Where I think I have anything that resembles a talent, that's where I try to where I'm fortunate enough that the market also rewards my talent. So I don't have any uh, interest in doing anything else. This is just what it'll be, and so that's what I try to do with it is make sure I do that, and I think I do a really good job. I think people, you know, even when I get a refund, they're just like, okay, this wasn't what I thought it was, but that's usually because someone just said, here's how to grow on Twitter, and I'm like, not quite what I'm teaching, but I'm happy you checked it out.
Cool. All right, some wordplay here. Cheetos versus Doritos.
Oh man, that's great. Doritos. I'm really happy. I don't eat either of those things now, but I used to have a Dorito problem, man. I go buy bags and just eat it, and then they cut your mouth up. But Cheetos get stuck in your teeth. Oh man, if I had to eat one, it would be Doritos for sure.
I got to go with Cheetos. Chester is just my I think when I was a kid, even probably now, like I actually have to walk quickly past the Cheetos section of the grocery store. When I was a kid, just orange fingertips were like the best thing in the world afterwards.
Oh yeah, that happens. I forgot about that.
Oh, you just suck the orange stuff off your fingertips. You're like, oh my god, this is like cheese candy. Favorite breakfast item?
Oh man, bacon.
Bacon.
Yeah, bacon. It's close. It was between bacon and eggs, but if I could do two, it'd be bacon and eggs with hot sauce. But yeah, it'd be bacon, man, for sure.
No waffles, no pancakes.
No. I hardly eat that shit. I never have it in the house. I'll every now and then when I'll go out, I'll get one for breakfast, but usually it's all like omelets and sausages and stuff like that.
Cool. Things you like to cook.
Oh man, I'm trying to tacos. Yeah, but
Soft shell or hard shell?
hard shell. Yeah, big
Flour
fan.
or corn?
Corn.
Corn. All right, here's a tough one. The GOAT, LeBron or MJ?
Oh man, I don't follow basketball nearly enough to be able to answer it. I did, but you got a football version of that, man.
All right, yeah, let's do a football version. If you had two quarterbacks to pick, that would be the greatest of all time. Which two would you pick?
Oh man, Brady and Montana.
Montana. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, and really because you said two, if it was one, if you want to talk like post free agency, Brady is the best post free agency quarterback period, and really I would say of all time. But if you have to slice it in there, sure. And I'm pretty sure Montana played prior, but played through the free agency era. As in he started his career, before that, but then ended it but he was with the 49ers the whole time, right?
I could be wrong, but I think you actually just picked two sixth-round draft pick quarterbacks.
No kidding.
Now,
It's funny how that works.
Think about that for a second. All these great draft geniuses in the world we live in, and two of the greatest of all time, were passed up for 5 rounds to the 6th round.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? Because man, but one thing I studied Brady for it just for a long time because it's a really interesting story, and to see that. And when they're drafting these guys, what they're doing is it's like poker, man. Like you have a bunch of things and you assign those values a probability. Or rather a correlation to success, and then you get a number and you go, okay, the likelihood this person's going to be a success, and they're usually not too far off. I mean, there's a lot of there are fewer busts than there are successes, and I think people forget that. Like for the most part, who should be something turns into be something, even if that's just a perennial starter, not like a Hall of Famer. But every now and then you get something that I don't think you could ever predict. Even if he was a first round pick, it wouldn't matter. He would just be the best first round pick ever, right?
Shout out to Holmes.
Yeah. Are we Holmes the receiver or Holmes
No, Holmes the quarterback.
the quarterback? Okay. Yeah.
Patrick.
Yeah. I know the KC guy, right? KC.
Casey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Casey, probably one of the best talents along with Lamar Jackson, who, to be honest with you, I think Lamar has such a high ceiling.
And but I mean, he looked great in college though too. I mean, it's not
Lamar or Patrick.
Yeah, Lamar.
It's amazing. He was so good in college, but he got such a bad rap coming into the NFL.
Yeah, I'm actually not too familiar with Mahomes' college career. I know that he was a first, right?
He was a first. He was a slate. Yeah. He actually played pitcher. He was a pitcher and could have gone to the major leagues with his arm and pitching. So
Somebody just hey, some people are just born with it, man. And all you got to do is put them in the right place, and they'll turn into some great. But there's a lot of great athletes come through. There's something else. Yeah, that
right
is
here.
up here, and how you conduct yourself so you don't get into trouble often. That makes a big difference. And then not just getting into trouble, but like that probably correlates with how you approach the game and everything with your discipline approach to learning and studying and workouts and stuff like that. It's a lot that goes into it, man. I spoke at a college campus to their football team, and they gave me a tour of the facility and broke down
Which
how
campus?
University of South Carolina, and
Gamecocks? Gamecocks,
huh?
right?
Yeah,
Game.
yeah, Gamecock, right? They're in Columbia, I think that, or Columbia. That's where I flew into, if I remember. And I was just amazed. I mean, that's a full time job. Like there is no off season per se. There's just no time when they're play. There's just a time where there aren't active games.
Here's something that I can ask you about. College athletes, should they be paid?
Yes, yes, and
I think
not
it's,
just
I think it's criminal.
conda paid either. Like,
I
I
think it's
mean,
criminal that they're not, like, the amount of money that universities make off their, for
not
example,
only, and here's
football
the
program.
big, not only this how it's like South Park did a great episode on this where it's like the
Not up to
slave,
South Park.
yeah, where like the NCAA was like a slave plantation, because not only do they not get paid, at least until recently, and I think like just in the past year, they couldn't even profit from their likeness. And now two schools I know in California's letting it happen, and I think Florida maybe is behind, and you get Texas on board, then the rest of the country has to follow through, because at that point, if California and Florida aren't eligible for bowls, what the hell are you going to like? What are you going to do? So yeah,
I think
crazy.
it's, I think it's
So much money
criminal.
made.
Well, I think it's criminal. I think it's criminal. Now they always go back to the old, but they're getting a free education.
Man, are you kidding?
You got to work for that. You got to work for that education, number one, and number two, they aren't there for the education. That's just a byproduct of their skill set.
And even if we were going to say somehow that the education, if we could just like convert that to dollars, like let's pretend we could convert it to dollars, and they ain't got to go to school. They're gonna be like, just give me the cash equivalent of my education. They make the game day alone. We're not even talking about if they make it to a bowl game. The game day alone is gonna be able to pay everyone's salary, right? If they did it like that. There's so concessions, probably realistically. There's so much money
Well, I mean,
made. It's
the
disgusting.
concessions and all the ticket sales, that's to help, maintain the stadium and stuff. What really gets me is, their jersey number and their jersey sales. And, like,
Right.
during a season when somebody buys number 12 Ohio State Buckeyes jersey, they're buying it because that quarterback that's currently playing that's wearing number 12 is fucking crushing it. That guy, give him a little slice of the cheese. He
And they
wants
don't
some
want to.
cheddar.
Like that is a great system they've set up, and it is criminal,
Criminal.
and it'll
In
crumble.
in any other situation, it would be considered theft.
Yeah, I'm really shocked that it lasted that long. But now some people got in office and said this is a big deal. So California is letting players profit from their likeness, and that's just gonna with social media, because that was the thing. Like,
Well,
I mean,
that's just like a little crack in the door. They're still not getting any of the real value, which is jersey sales, anything with their number on it. I mean, the universities still keep all that
yeah,
money.
that
That money's like this. The other money is like this. They still won't let them promote stuff on social media and stuff, get paid for shout outs. I mean,
they can't even go. They can't even get jobs. Not that you should. I mean, that's a hard
yeah,
life.
school practice. What job could you have? Like, literally, I can work for a half hour a day.
So, but it's absolutely crazy.
It's criminal. I actually literally think it's criminal. We'll talk about that one other day. All right. So I notice you're into CBD oil. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on CBD oil.
I think, well, here's why I used it. I used it initially because somebody talked about it for sleep. Sleep's important. And then I had the unfortunate incident of getting a massive, like, I mean, I had a pretty bad concussion. And I started using it to deal with that because I heard how it affects your brain. Um, and it did a pretty good job. It helped me out, I think, in a big way. It certainly helps with the sleep. I don't think it's a as powerful of a painkiller as like a narcotic, but that's kind of the point. But someone said though, and I'll never forget it. They were just like, I can tell you right now, CBD oil is not gonna be like an opiate for people who are legitimately in pain. But when you have some type of issue that is related to perhaps anxiety. And no, I don't think it's a neurological issue. Maybe it is. I'm not a neuroscientist, so if I get the words incorrect, don't shoot me. But I know that anything dealing with anxiety, I think there is a lot of information out there. Certainly, at least the way I used it for opening up creativity, because there's the best way I describe it is like there's a noise right in your head. And if you can quiet that noise, that voice, other things can happen. You can get to sleep better. You can create more easily, things of that nature. So big fan of that and what it did there, and then also how it helped me deal with my concussion.
Cool. So you did a story on lessons that you've learned from a homeless man. Talk a little bit about that experience.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't homeless. So I mean, I was,
No, no, no.
well,
Yeah.
at least not in that story. I wasn't. Uh, but that I had a really just crazy experience where I had to get a job really quickly, and I got a job as a security guard at a homeless shelter. So 3 nights a week, I would work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. At the shelter, and I helped them process people in. Every now and then I'd eat with them. One time I slept on a mat, got scabies. But bummed is and scabies is the worst because you can't really get rid of them. I didn't have health insurance either, but I figured out how to get rid of them. I took a bath in bleach, sulfur, tree oil, and I had to submerge I had to like do this, hold my nose, cover my eyes, like because they were all over my face, that you could see
Wait a
like
second. You took a whole bath like in bleach, like the whole water was all bleach.
the whole bottle. No, no, not, it wasn't all bleach, but it
Oh,
was heavily diluted or rather, the bleach was heavily diluted. Tea tree oil was sulfur stuff. It was wild, man. But yeah, learned quite a bit about our homeless population, and the stats back this up. People don't want to face this. It's a lot of guys out of jail, man. The newly released from prison are the majority of homeless people. uh
yeah.
and and
I
I
did.
just thought that was like my experience locally, but then I went and did research. It's like, nope. The incarcerated is the largest percentage of the homeless population. Then follow, but when I say follow, because it's in second place. It's not like it's 50% then 40%. It's like 70 then like 20, which is still too many. But then you get some vets who end up in this situation, and then there are a very, very small amount are people who should have, like, who are not mentally capable of caring for themselves, and they fell through the system. Either it was because they didn't have a family member who could do it, or their benefits were exhausted, or someone just didn't care. But for the most part, what I observed is that a lot of people who were homeless made decisions that got them that way. They weren't like uh, victims of a faulty system. That's what I observed, and that always stuck with me.
Yeah, I think there's some amazing stories, and I think you hit upon it really well. Is when when they release people from jail, and that's one of the things that I really like about the First Step program. You're familiar with that program?
I'm not.
So Van Jones, Jared Kushner, the Trump administration, they put together about a year and a half ago. Kim Kardashian, got to give her a ton of credit. She's been an amazing person on this, where they're trying to get people released that really didn't deserve the time that they were given. But more importantly, not just those people, they're also trying to give people that are coming out of jail, period, a chance to have a better first step. And that's the thing, you know, society turns their back on people once they've gone to jail. And
Yeah.
and when they literally get out of jail, I mean, it's crazy. When you literally get out of jail, you're let out, the gates shut, and there's literally, unless you've got somebody in your life still, there's literally no transportation, you got no cell phone service, and you got nowhere to go. And it's literally it's the craziest thing in the world. We're putting people back into society, but we're not giving them a plan to get back into a society. We're not giving them that first step. And I think that more than anything is something that we have to do, because we can't say that we're rehabilitating people and then throw them into the world without any kind of
Yeah,
guidance
because
or
our prison system is not rehabilitory at all.
punishment.
It's just name. You know, we have a terrible prison system, and I know somebody listening or watching is gonna catch this. And I actually went and did research on it after someone brought it up. There's a very large percentage of the homeless population that are runaways from school, runaways from home, and this is where a lot of the minor population comes from. People who decided they'd rather be on the streets than be at home, and for various reasons, victims of abuse, a lot of them, and that's really sad. Now, in my experience, I didn't encounter those because I was at a men's shelter, and you had to be at least 18 to even show up. Otherwise, they assume you were still somebody's ward, and you can't like go stay somewhere else and check yourself in that way.
Yeah. So, greatest life lesson. What's the greatest life lesson you've learned so far?
Yeah, given enough time, you can do anything and learn anything. That is like my motto, man. I do not take that lightly. My life has changed because I've learned to think that way.
You ever see the movie with I can't remember the actor, but it's called The Martian?
Yeah, that's Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Greatest movie analogy to what you've been saying throughout this entire talk. If you give yourself enough time, like that guy, he figured out how to make food out of poop, and I mean,
Yeah.
he figured out how to go get an old part and turn it into a communications device, and then figured out, okay, I can't communicate, but maybe I can, like, create these hexagon signals. I mean, that movie is like the greatest example of what you're saying.
Right. You just, man, that seems so terrifying and crazy. But yes.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? Like, you're on Mars, like like you're on Mars, and literally you have to figure out how to eat, breathe, survive.
And do all that, but he did it. Yeah, but that's a great analogy.
Yeah. Even like at the end, he's in this like this this shell of a spaceship. He's in outer space. You realize he can't even make it. He's like 200 yards away, and he cuts a little bit of hole in his finger. He's going in circles until he finally connects to the girl and gets back to the ship. It really like goes to what you say. Given enough time and desire and energy, there's nothing you can't learn. There's nothing you can't do.
Exactly. That is my greatest lesson from life so far.
Put that on a coffee mug, $9.95, shipping and handling included. Favorite athlete, author, or leader?
Oh, favorite athlete. So right now, I'm a big fan of Anthony Joshua, the boxer. Um, Allen Iverson, the basketball player. Right.
Shout out to the greatest crossover ever.
Oh yeah. Tom Brady, the quarterback. Randy Moss, wide receiver. I'm just thinking of guys that I really like when I sit and watch like highlight videos. That's pretty much, yeah. But football is my sport, and boxing is my sport. Uh, current boxer, Anthony Joshua, that's who I like the most. And Roberto Duran, probably all time. Is
Roberto Duran.
one of my favorite man. Just
How about the
big.
Hitman?
I actually, you know what? You know what's funny? I wasn't
Bobby
that big.
Hitman Hearns.
I wasn't actually a big fan of the Hitman that much. I was a bigger fan of
Sugar?
Marvin Hagler.
Oh, Hagler was a beast.
Yeah,
Beast.
really enjoy Hagler, man. Then you get to learn the stories and stuff, and
How
it
about
was.
How about the kid from Hoboken? Tyson.
Oh, I like Tyson. I wouldn't put him up there as my favorite. He's certainly done a lot with his image. I'm really impressed by that because not a lot of so, to to be known as like the bad boy of the sport pretty much and then go on and do what he's doing now. I mean that's so impressive, man, because a lot of fighters period don't really leave the game with money and sanity, but he went and worked his image. I don't know if, who his PR person is, but that person deserves a medal.
Well, I think he lives here in Vegas, and I've crossed paths with him a couple of times. You ever listen to his podcast, Hot
I
Boxing with Mike Tyson?
I have not.
Listen to me. Do it as soon as you can. Go find a couple of episodes you like. If you listen to his podcast now, you listen to Mike talk now, philosophically, spiritually, he is in such a good place right now. He's an amazing listen. If for no other reason, if you listen to him because you like him as a boxer and you listen to him today, you will understand how far he's come. And the person he is today and the person he was as a boxer is night and day different. And he is an
Huh.
amazing listen. I'm not kidding you. You will listen to him and he will teach you things about philosophy, your heart, your path, your vision. He'll teach you about he'll teach you about drugs, he'll teach you about fatherhood. He is literally one of the best listens you'll ever listen to on podcasts.
No
Who he is
kidding.
today is night and day different to who he was.
I have to check this out.
Hot boxing with Mike Tyson. Shout out to one of my favorites, Mike Tyson. He is salt of the earth. If you met him on the strip in Vegas, if you bumped into him just walking around, if you saw him in a restaurant, if you saw him at an Arby's, he would literally treat you like the salt of the earth. Not treat you like a fan. He would treat you like the salt of the earth. He's that
No,
kind of person.
no kidding. Y'all have to check it out.
Got to. I mean, if you like boxing and you know his life story, and then you hear where he's at today, he's doing a $20 million fight, right? He's
Yeah, the
really,
one against Holyfield, right? Or rather, Holyfield's the projected or predicted opponent.
I think that's the only opponent. He's literally getting into shape. Holyfield's. I mean, he's literally unbelievably in shape. Like if you saw him for his age right now, he is in fighting shape like he hasn't been in a while. Like it's amazing watching his workout films. He's literally, it's literally probably going to be an interesting fight.
Yeah, dude, I'll definitely watch it because I watched the film and I'm just like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you think about it, it's really incredible considering his age, where he's been, what he's done, the whole 9 yards. Now, granted, I hope in this fight he doesn't go for the other ear because Holyfield's only got so much ear left.
Wow, no kid. That's funny.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yo, yeah, for sure.
Like, that's when you know you're a real fucking animal. When you want to fight in a ring, national TV, global TV, and you
Yeah,
decide.
you bite somebody.
Well, he spit out his mouthpiece and then he bit him. He didn't want to just bite him; he wanted to chew off his entire ear.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike is an incredible listen. Where he's at as a human being is off the charts right now. He's come a long way. Family, fatherhood, just really, yeah. Life has thrown him through the drying machine. He's gone through a couple of spins, but when he came out of it, where he's at today, he's in a good place.
No, cause that's good to hear.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, hot boxing with Mike Tyson. Great podcast, great listen. You'll love it. And I don't have an affiliate link for it, but if I did, I'd throw it down. Listen, 3 things that you want to end on. 3 things that you want to let people know.
Yeah, just make sure most of you guys are here through. I actually have no idea how people are finding this. But if you want to find and read more of me, my social media is at Latimore. Website is at latimore.com. Twitter is at Latimore. Instagram is at Latimore. They're all at Latimore. So feel free to hop on over and say hello.
Sounds good. Ed, I can't thank you enough. You've been a great follow. I think your story is evolving. I think who you are today is going to be a bigger, better person tomorrow. I think that you have a great voice for people to listen to. You have a great message to deliver, and you're teaching people to be better than they were from before they met you. And that in itself is a good thing. More people should be like you. More people should listen to you. More people should talk to you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Well, hey, I'm a big fan of champions, and I believe that there's a champion inside of all of us, and I'm 100% sure there's a champion inside of you.
I certainly hope so. Tom, I'll continue to do what I can until Tom runs out, and then until then, it'll still be a good time. Hopefully,
one last question I forgot to ask you. You think we have football this year?
No, I do not. Let's put it like this. If we have football this year, we don't have international travel. It's going to be one or the other, because that is likely the last straw, because football is uniquely American. Like, there's no place else has a league or anything like that. So, we could do it. We ain't really going there's just no out of, well, but then again, wait, let me scratch that, because what someone smart's going to do, if I just thought of it, someone smarter and with more resources is going to go after it. We just had a bunch of protests, and if you let the narrative tell you, and what's being pushed is the protests didn't do anything, and what to COVID transmission, right? But the reason why they say that is because it was outdoor space, right? Everyone wore masks. If you had to wear a mask to be there and it was outdoor space, maybe someone makes that argument and goes through with it, but you got to make that and get people. Then people probably still go, and just kind of let this thing go. So I don't know. If I had to bet, I feel pretty confident when I try and bet on the direction of people, the individuals, where it gives me trouble. I don't think we have it. If I had to bet, that is, which in other words, what I'm saying is, translated in numbers, I'd say 70% chance they're not going to do football.
Wow.
If nothing changes, I can't see it. The kickback will be just too great, even from me. With that said, look, man, I've been wrong. I don't even know if I want to be wrong in this case, but I know that there's a possibility that the powers that be will just be like, look, man, everybody's getting, because no one wants to have that conversation. Everyone's getting it, so maybe we should just chill the hell out, and let nature do its thing. No one wants to have that conversation. But
think about it this way for a second. You've seen Sweden, right?
Yeah.
They didn't lock down. They didn't do any of the stuff that everyone's panicked, stricken. They don't even have masks out in Sweden. And they literally have not only flattened the curve, but they've created a herd immunity where so many people in their population already have the antibody. It's no longer a concern.
Yeah.
It's crazy, because people have to understand, this is a virus. It's not a world ender. It doesn't kill you on contact. In fact, with some medication, you can get over it like that. In March, I don't know if I had COVID, and I've tested already, so I have the antibodies. But somewhere along the way, I had COVID because I already have the antibody, and I had a really bad cold, and it was cough, dry, all the symptoms. I went on azithromycin, a Z-Pack,
Oh yeah.
Days later, that and some zinc and some hot tea and honey, bingo, I was good. The human body has the ability to defeat viruses. Where this virus has its greatest effect is at the ages of 80 and a half years old, which, by the way, of all the people that have died, the average age, and I could be off by a little bit, is 80.5 years of age.
I
Well,
know the stats that came out here is in my region has been 80. It's like 84 or something like that.
exactly. So at that age, there's a lot of things that'll kill you. I mean, you can get a cold, you can get pneumonia, you can get arthritis. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that'll kill you. And your body just breaks down. Your body no longer has the immunities that it had when you were in your 20s, 30s, 50s, 40s.
Yeah, so we'll see what they with how they go and see. I can't see. I just feel like there is going to be a really big pushback if they do. And if it's one thing that I've learned over the past few weeks watching this country is that when people decide to get active and they can, my girlfriend is European and she always says that Americans don't riot about anything, and I'm generally convinced. Except now I see a lot of things that are happening. I don't necessarily agree they're the best, but there is an effect. So we'll see. I mean, right now, what are we in July? If there was going to be any football, it would be a pretty big. Right, I guess they were. They're in camps, right, or trying to.
Yeah, I think they're in camps. To be
Because
honest,
I know they just made a big deal about it with the Steelers. Two of the players tested positive. And
see, that's the crazy thing too is if we do have football, which I think it's actually in the high 90%, we're going to have some form of NFL football this year. I don't know.
oh, okay, right. Whether it'll be like no fans or something, I could see that maybe happening. But
I don't actually, I'll be honest with you, I don't see that happening either. And I'll tell you why. Here in Vegas, we built a $2 billion stadium,
ooh,
and the amount of money that is at risk for some of these stadiums. Because don't take this wrong, these stadiums, they're very unprofitable enterprises. The stadiums need to make money.
yep,
The people that put up the tax dollars and the tax credits need to have justification to get reelected. There's so much happening around the sport of football that has to do with money and politics. There's very little chance, in my opinion, that we're going to not have football for the simple fact that when you look, somebody once told me a long time ago, follow the money. You want to answer,
yeah,
follow the money. When the lockdown ended here in Vegas, everyone said, oh, it'll be a while before people come back to Vegas. It'll be a while. The casinos will be empty. The very first night, a minute past midnight, when they could open the doors, every casino floor was packed. There was a 2-hour line of cars to get into the Bellagio.
no kidding.
Yeah. So what that tells you now, by the way, a lot of those people were from California who just wanted to get the hell out of California and go have a meal at a restaurant or go see a spa or get their hands or their nails or their hair done, because in California you can't. I don't even think you can still do any of that shit. It's like a prison state right now. So the funny thing is, you look at that. I mean, and by the way, if you see any of the pictures when people were in the casinos, they had no masks on. They were rolling the craps dice.
No kidding. No, I didn't see any of it. I knew that it opened, but I didn't track and follow it.
Oh yeah, I'll go there down the strip today. I'm having dinner with a friend of mine, and I'll take some pictures and post them later. But yeah, you'll see. People are young, they're healthy, they're out there, they're eating, they're having dinner, so on and so forth. But the reason I bring up Vegas and the casinos is everyone thought that would be like a while before people come back to that. You watch the first football game, people are going to be dying for that ticket. They're going to be dying to get out of the house. They're going to be dying to root for their team. They're going to be dying to see Tom Brady in a Tampa Bucks uniform throwing to Gronkowski, who probably is going to have a phenomenal year if he plays.
Yeah, that's what I did not know that Vegas was on like that. Yeah, okay.
Oh, listen, they were thinking it was going to be 18 months for Vegas to recoup. 1 minute past midnight. It was now one thing that also tells you is there's a lot of degenerate gamblers out there.
Oh yeah.
So I think we've got a better chance of having football than not. It would be good and healthy for the not only economy around football, but it would be good for the mental health of America, because without football going into the fall, I mean, you got the media blowing this up like crazy. Come the fall, they're going to be talking second wave, third wave, all the
Yeah,
flu.
exactly.
You catch a cold in November, and they're all of a sudden going to be like, oh my God, he's got coronavirus number 21. I mean, people are literally, if you watch TV right now, they're literally selling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, fear and panic. They give you a
Oh
plate
yeah.
and they follow it up with a dessert of panic. I mean, I think the mental health of America, I think that's why we saw so many people protesting. If you think about it,
Oh
they
yeah, exactly. That's
they
what I
wanted to get
thought.
out of the house.
And they got nothing else to do.
They got no. Here's the funny thing: they not only do they not have a job, but even if they could have a job, they're better off staying at home because they get that $600 bump on top of their unemployment. I know
Yeah.
I know friends of mine that have restaurants that are begging their people to come back to work, begging them, and they can't get them to come back to work because that $600 bump on top of the unemployment makes it so profitable to stay at home.
Well, the good news. Well, I don't say good news. I know because I have a friend with it. I guess it ends at the end of the month. So,
Oh,
uh,
well, end of July. It ends at the end
oh,
of
end of July. Okay,
yeah.
so
So
I know it was one of the J months, end of July. So,
yeah, and that's a horrible situation because the economy right now is so bad and there's so many people out of work, but there's a whole layer of people. Like for example, in Vegas here, we used to have 30,000 Uber drivers driving around. There's literally less than 400 driving around because they're making more money not driving their car than they were driving.
wow.
They're making $12 an hour on the average driving their Uber. Now they're getting the unemployment of that money plus 600 a week.
And they're not making that is crazy. Yeah, so you got a different point of view that is definitely uh telling.
I think just for the health of the country, football would be a relief mentally. I know people are going to, start, making a big deal out of the COVID and the spread and the whole 9 yards. I think everyone should say to themselves, we're all going to get this somehow, some fashion. We're going to touch something. We're going to breathe something. Our uncle's going to get it and they're going to give it to us. It's just one of those things that we're all going to get it. And eventually it's going to have a vaccine or something that helps us defeat it inside of our system. And to be honest with you, I know 17 people that have gotten it that were prescribed three things: erythromycin, Z-Pack,
Yeah.
zinc, and hydrochloroquine. And those three combined together, all 17 people have recovered really well from it.
Oh, no kidding. So we have, what's crazy? They talk to you like we don't even have a way to treat this.
Oh my God, that's the biggest fallacy. In fact, if you got it right now, I would be willing to bet that your doctor or healthcare provider would prescribe you those three right out the gate, just so that you could get through it. A Z-Pack to help deal with your immunities. Zinc, they would tell you literally to take zinc, and then they would give you hydrochloroquine. And it's so crazy because hydrochloroquine's been around for 40 years. I've taken it when I've traveled to Africa. It's amazing, like how many people make a big deal out of it when the side effects and the after effects of hydrochloroquine, they've already been time tested. It's not a new drug.
Ah, right.
People are like so panic stricken. The reason why I think you see so much backlash is it only costs $1 a day to put somebody on hydrochloroquine for 14 days. That's $14. These drugs that they're creating are looking, the early cost estimates are $1,000. So
Wow.
you always have to follow the money. Why are they bitching? Why is all this
No kidding.
negative against something that's cheap and effective? Well, the obvious answer is because the drug companies don't make money. They don't make money at $1 a pill. They make money when you're buying $1,000 worth of stuff.
So, no, that's a good point, man.
The more you know.
The more you know.
The more you learn, the more you earn. Shout out to God, I don't know who told me that one. I want to say Ty Lopez.
I know. But is but I just focus on what I can control. I can't control anything else, man. and I'm kind of bummed about the travel thing, but I got a Trump card, so I'm not really worried about that.
You
So
got a what?
right, now you can't even use that phrase.
No, no, no. I'm like, I'm not saying Trump like the president. You got what's your Trump card?
Oh, so my girlfriend, who will be my wife sooner than later,
Shout out
is
to the future wife.
is a European citizen. So like flying to Portugal, they can't stop you from
Because you're
they can't separate me from her if we're married. Right now they can. So yeah, I'm going to remedy that, and then so that's not going to be an issue.
that's
But
awesome.
that's and
Does she know you're
we've been
gonna,
together for like, huh?
does she know you're gonna marry her?
Oh yeah, yeah, we talked about it, because it's not, because for me, like I've always been like relatively anti-marriage, and like, but at this point we've been together now for 8 years. She's willing to go through the prenup process, so I don't have to like pull leg on that, and I don't anticipate leaving her anyway. Like I like her, and that's important. Like I tell her all the time, you fall in love with anybody, but I like you. I like being around. So like I don't have any, like I'm not thinking about like going anywhere. So I might as well like get the benefit of a hidden benefit that like kind of makes a big difference now, because right now, like depending on what happens, she can go to Europe right now. They can't keep her out as a citizen of Portugal. They can keep my ass out though. So so what we'll have to do is be family unification is a thing, and so we'll use that so I'm not limited in my travels.
So Jesse in the background's asking you, what's the best relationship advice you can give someone?
Oh, the best. Man, but when you meet a new person, put them on probation. Make sure that you know that they're solid for you, and make sure you have a you know s- similar interests is not that important. It's more important how you disagree, because you're gonna do that. That's inevitable. Like everything is good when everyone gets along. So like that's pointless. What's way more important is to evaluate how the person disagrees with you, because that is gonna make a difference. Like if you have an argument and she's giving you the silent treatment and storming off and mentoring, making petty jabs, that's probably gonna like grate on you. But like if you can, if they're like legitimately interested in trying to solve the problem, not attack you, then you probably got to keep her. There you get a winner, and just make sure you're on your purpose. When you're living your life, like I can like lead the relationship the way I see fit, because I'm leading myself. So it's really important that you enter into a relationship. With that type of, because you need to express the authority anyway, I think, as a man. But if you don't have any reason or any claim to it, like yeah, it's going to be a lot harder. So
Good advice. Jesse, good advice. All right, we'll end it on one spicy question, make things a little interesting. February
okay.
2021, who is president of the United States?
Oh, whoever is running against Trump, who is like, that's how little I pay attention to politics. Biden's running.
Biden.
I really, if I had to gamble, and remember, but not remember, last election, I'm watching people, but I'm also looking at the social media noise, and I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure Trump's going to win. I had people adamant, people bet me money. I'm like, you live in a bubble, man, because if you had my point of view, you think differently. I don't think. I think given the timing of everything, uh, emotions will win, and people are very emotional right now, and the president doesn't have the best rhetoric when it comes to quelling these issues. And people, I mean, and look, and I don't, whether he needs to or not is irrelevant. People are going to hear it through their ear and make a decision. I think that right now it's hard, man. It is it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But I think that, given, I think that the virus plus the protests, People, if they've got any grain of intelligence in terms of how to do battle here, that is what's interesting to me, is like kind of the strategy behind this, because it's not like a real fight. It's like, can you play with people's perception of things? It's a very easy. It's like a layup. I mean, it's a layup, and they're gonna come out with every way possible to paint the president as the agitator and of these situations. They tried a lot of other things throughout his presidency to try and get him, impeached. None of that worked. But since you can't impeach him, you just defeat him in the next term, and you want to talk about like a gift, and I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole to say whether it was intentionally timed or not or anything like that. If that, it just is what it is.
That's a hell of a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah,
if you think about it, a lot of this stuff, usually for whatever reason, the election year comes with chaos, and
yeah.
chaos is usually because there's somebody very well funded behind some sort of the chaos.
Yeah, I just think I think he barely won last time against a less likable opponent. Mind you, I think people will respond more. But here's the trump card, because if they're any kind of smart, man, with the Me Too movement and those creepy videos, people have been breaking down Biden for a while. I hope they play on that. That's a pretty easy layup right there.
You think Biden at 79 years of age, thinking, figure there's 4 years of being president, 79 all the way to 83 years of age, he would be the oldest president ever. And
Biden 79, I didn't know that shit.
Yeah, being president is a pretty exhausting job. I personally don't think I could do it, nor would I want to do it.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know how Trump does it. I think he's got some sort of special vitamins or something. They've got him cooked on. That guy's tweeting almost 24 hours a day.
Oh, I don't believe he's the one tweeting. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean,
well, probably not all of the tweets, but I think a lot. I think anytime he attacks somebody with crooked Hillary or idiot Joe Biden, those are his tweets. I'm sure of that.
but yeah. So man, all I can do is do what I do, and when I talk about sports, I can give a probability. I think, assuming that each side uses the ammo present, but the new ammo, because the old ammo ain't gonna matter. What do we call this in boxing? We call them a pick'em fight, where the differential is less than a point between the two of them if you break the line down. So like 1.5 to 2.5, that kind of thing. It's just I think that if I'm going against Trump, I harp on these past few months, and this shit is fresh in people's minds, man. Like, this is not going away by November. I don't care what happens in sports. I don't think the coronavirus and our approach to it and the protests, I don't think those are going away, and they're going to pin that on the leadership. I think Biden, all anyone has to do is go look, and the female vote is effectively dead at that point, and that shit's coming, and they gotta know that's coming. I mean, there's no way.
I gotta tell you, like, I'm not kidding you. I'm not literally not joking. I've seen a video montage. It had to be at least 15 to 20 instances of just the weirdest engagement and interaction with a female. And what's even more weird, it's usually the female children.
Like, they brought him on The View to talk about this, and he couldn't really give a straight answer about it, man. Like, that's a fairly big deal in a country where women can vote. Like, so
the crazy thing. They did a survey. They did a survey or poll somewhere. I can't remember where. It was like had over 100,000 people in it. They said it was literally a question: would you let Joe Biden babysit your daughter? The numbers were insane. It was like 93% no. And here's the crazy thing: I don't think you can get 93% of people to agree on anything. Like the sky could be blue and you still get like 40% of the people say, oh, it's red.
Yeah, it's a strange time, man. But that's why I don't pay attention to politics because, you know, though that shouldn't be an issue for a president. Like you shouldn't be able to get that far if there's like because all someone's got to do is run an ad with those videos. Oh, that's gone. You can't erase that. All someone's got to do is play the view clips of him on the view talking. Can't get rid of that. So there we are. So I think it's probably I really think that is going to make a bigger difference than how people are going to look at how he dealt with the protests and Corona because at the end of the day, um, nothing really should surprise you in that regard about the president's character. It's not like I don't think people were like, "Oh man, he let us down." It's like half the country was like, "Yeah," half the country, "Nay." Same on the masks, same on the protesters, whatever. But that Biden shit is going to lose a lot of people, a lot of voting. There's a lot of people that because now it's not just get the ad on TV. There's a lot of people with social media influence, man, like a lot, and those clips aren't going anywhere. And there's a surprising amount of females who have influence and would like to might play dirty. So we'll see what happens.
It is an interesting world we live in. I got to tell you, this has been great. I appreciate your time on a Saturday morning. Go have fun with your fiance, future wife. Go and enjoy.
For me, it's a Saturday afternoon now.
Yes, that is true. Time difference. Go make yourself some barbecue. What's your favorite thing to barbecue?
Man, I'm right. I just got a grill for my new place. I'm really am surprised by how much I like barbecue and corn, man. Corn and salmon.
Oh my God, love corn. Hey, you ever get that Mexican cheese, that powdery Mexican cheese?
Oh, I never did. And put it on the corn? Huh.
Okay, listen to me carefully. You're going to love this. Grill your corn on the barbecue, however you like it. Get a big, wide, thin frying pan. Put butter in it. I know. Just put butter in it. It's good for you. Take the corn and roll it around in the butter pan. Just let it get to where you're comfortable. Put some of this Mexican cheese. Like someone will help you out and tell you what it is. It's like powdery. It's ridiculously good. You put it on there. It's like a powdery Mexican cheese. Put that, little bit of paprika, and some lime. The best.
No kidding.
Oh my God, the best.
I'm gonna have to try that out. Okay, go right down the road to they got a fresh Tom down there. Pick up some corn on the cobs and some avocado. In fact,
By the way, you do sweet corn, it's over. It's literally over. Like you'll literally eat 4 or 5 years. It'll be the best. It's something about the cheese, the lime, the paprika, the butter. It's just all good.
And the way it all comes together.
It's like a corn Cheetos. Because you get the cheese on your fingers afterwards.
Thank you.
Well, listen, enjoy yourself. We'll talk soon. Anybody that wants to reach out to you, I'll put the links down below. They can reach out to you. I think you offer a great deal of sound street sense knowledge that people should absorb and use to build their life.
Oh, thank you, man. I try, man.
All you have to do, you got to show up. Half the challenges in life are just showing up.
Hey, man, ain't that the truth?
Peace out.
All right, see you. Thank you.